Hey everybody, it's Adrian over BHA here, bringing you a new video. So a few months back, we talked about Heimdall, and it was kind of a cool home lab dashboard that you could use to put all of your web interfaces for all your different devices and IoT devices, where you can kind of access them from one central location. But today we're going to look at Organizr V2. This is a similar type setup, but to me it has a whole lot of other options that you may not get with Heimdall. For those that didn't catch Heimdall or that video, you can see it in the link up above. So make sure you hit that, check out Heimdall, see what you think, and then watch this video. That way you can get a comparison and see which one you think is better. And I'd love to hear comments from you guys on which one you prefer, whether it's Heimdall or Organizr 2, or maybe some other kind of option that I haven't reviewed yet. So that would be cool too. So let's check out Organizr V2. Here we go. All right, so we're going to run it in Docker, similar to what we've done with a lot of other stuff. You know me, I'm always looking for cool new Docker applications that we can install, and so this is another one out there that we're going to run through. So we'll do that setup with Portainer stacks, kind of similar to how we've done it before. It will be using Docker Compose YAML code, so it'll make it easy if you prefer to use Docker Compose. All right, so let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. So of course, for starters, we will install the container in Docker using Portainer stacks. Once we do that, then we'll go ahead and pull it up and kind of log into it and kind of go over the different config options that you have available to you inside of Organizr and what all you can kind of do with it. Once we do all that, we're going to add in some tabs. Once we went through that whole setup, then we'll look at adding in homepage items. Those are a little bit different. They're more like widgets, but we'll kind of get into that here in a minute. And then lastly, I just kind of go over my final thoughts. Just what I thought about the app itself as a whole, especially as it kind of compared to Heimdall, because that's the only other one that we've really looked at so far. But let's get started. All right, so as I've already stated, we're installing this using Portainer stacks, which uses Docker Compose YAML code. So it's pretty simple to do. This kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to do, but obviously the code will look a little different using Docker Compose YAML. But first things first, we need to create a volume. So we'll go over here, we'll say add volume. As you can see, I've already got one listed there, Organizr data, because I already have Organizr installed. But we're going to do a clean install to kind of show you how everything works and to kind of walk through everything. So I'm going to just create another volume here. We'll call it Organizr temp data or something like that. That works. Once we have that installed, we're going to jump up to stacks here. And I have everything under management. Click on that. We're going to go to the editor here. And just find this little spot. We'll add it right here underneath Dozzle. So we're going to call this Organizr temp. Obviously, you call yours whatever you want. The container name will be Organizr temp as well. We're going to set the restart to always. And then for the environment variable, there's just two environment variables that we really need. So we need to have our PGID and our PUID. Now, normally that's going to be 1000, but you do have the option to kind of check that for yourself if you feel like it's something other than the default. Under volumes, we're going to add in that volume we just created. So we'll say Organizr-temp_data, and we're pointing that at /config. Now for the ports, this uses port 80 as its default. And of course, I use 80 for other things within Docker as well. So I needed to change that a little bit. So I'm going to go with 8980 colon 80. So basically, I'm just redirecting 8980 to port 80, which is what we'll need to do here. And then for the image, it's just Organizr/Organizr. Once we have all that in there, then we can, of course, update our stack here. Give it a minute to come up. Then we should be able to scroll down here. And if we click on Organizr temp here, we can kind of look through here. It's starting up. Everything looks pretty good. Looks like it's installed correctly. If we jump over here to the logs, you can see that it is, looks like it's done starting up. So we should be able to move on to that next step and take a look at Organizr and see what all we can do with it. All right, so let's kind of go over the configuration here. So when you first log in to Organizr, it kind of wants to go through a setup wizard. So it asks you what license type you want, whether it's personal or business. Obviously, we're going to select personal here. And then for your admin info, just basically create a user account. I just called mine admin. It does require you to put in your email address. So we'll just put in my email here. All right, for security, it says to create a hash key and a registration password. So you'll have to make something up here. All right, now for the database, it wants you to provide a database name and then a location. And it kind of gives you some examples up above. I just kind of went with the suggested directory. So I just called mine Organizr. We'll just do /config/www/db. Since that was suggested, we'll do a test. And it looks like everything's good with the path, so let's hit next. And just gives you the chance to verify anything in case you need to go back and make changes. I think we're all good, so we'll hit finish. All right, so that was the setup wizard. Now here we are in the system settings tab. So let's kind of look through this. Nothing special here, just kind of has your information, kind of their about page. If we go to main, you can kind of set what tab you want to be the default tab whenever you open up system settings. I think I'll just leave it the default here. You can choose which branch of the project you're using. We're using the master branch. If you wanted to change the API key, you have the ability to do that here. For authentication, again, I'm just going to leave it the default. There's a couple of different options there. Under security, this is where you can change the default security settings as far as what level of accounts you need to be to access various things. I'm leaving it all the default. Under login, this is where you have the opportunity to change your registration password, all the stuff that we set up in that setup wizard. I don't see a reason to change any of that there. We're not using an auth proxy. If you wanted to set up ping, you can do that here. And then, of course, if you're using some sort of SSL cert or something like that, you can set that up there. For single sign-on, again, I'm not using it here locally at my house. This is not going to be accessed outside of my house, and I'll probably be the only one that will be accessing it, so I'm not super worried about all of that. But there are things that you can set up underneath here. If you want to go ahead and add your Plex information in, you can do that here. And they have Tatuli and Overseer and a few of the others that you can add in. If we go to logs, this is where you'll view your logs. So if you're having issues, you can check that out here. Under updates, this is where we can check for updates and install them. We're currently up to date since this is a brand new install, so nothing we'll need to do here. And then under backup, this is where we can actually back up our database with our configuration and stuff on it if we needed to. I think we're good for that. And then, of course, you can donate to the creators if you want to do that. All right, so let's move over to the tab editor. So this is where we will create the tabs over there on the side. Currently, there's really only two set up, settings and then homepage. And homepage is not currently visible. We're not using it yet. If you wanted to set up categories to basically have all of your tabs separated out in different categories, you can do that here. Homepage items. This is where we'll set up widgets and stuff on the homepage screen. They call them homepage items. You can't do it for everything, but as you can see, there are tons of options here and different setups that you can go through. So we'll probably go through some of that here later in the video. And then it looks like homepage order gives you the ability to change the order of those widgets, so how they will show up on the homepage. So that's pretty cool. Under customize, this is where we can kind of customize, it looks like the theme and whatnot of Organizr V2. You can change the Organizr V2 title at the top of the screen. I prefer to have the logo. Looks like you can actually do a custom logo as well if you want. Let's see, under login page, you can put a different wallpaper on the login page if you want. Let's see, options. So you can see all these things here on the sidebar. There's like a GitHub repo, organizer support. So if you want to see all those, you can. If you want to change all those or hide them, which I don't want all those on there, so I'm going to remove all those. And then also, looks like there's an option to auto expand the nav bar. I'm going to turn that off as well. I don't like to see the names and everything pop up every time I scroll over to it. It's kind of annoying, so we're going to kind of just disable that so that we don't have that happen every single time. We'll hit save here. All right, so colors and themes, this is kind of where you can change your theme. As you can see, there's a couple of different options there. Let's see, notifications. They show up in the bottom right corner. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to change it, but it looks like you can change the position if you want. If you want to change the favicon, you can. I don't see a reason to do that. And this is kind of where we can do custom CSS for the theme and whatnot if we want to make those changes there with the CSS and JavaScript. Here is where I was talking about how you can go download additional themes if you wanted to. Let's see, we'll download the Plex theme. And if we go back over to appearance, let's see if we can change it to that Plex theme. There we go. Looks kind of like the same color scheme as Plex, so that's pretty cool. I think I'll like that. We're going to try that one out. All right, so user management. This is where you can create additional users and groups if you want to. Obviously, we created the first one whenever we went through the setup wizard. Under the image manager. Now, we'll kind of talk about this a little bit later, but you can see they have pretty much all of the icons that you'll probably need for the various things that you have installed around your house, whatever you're going to add to this dashboard, but you can add your own if one of those is not listed here. Basically, you hit that little plus and add whatever logo or icon you need. And we'll kind of walk through one of those setups in a little bit here. Plugins. So there's not a lot with the plugins. If you go to the marketplace, there's nothing that's really listed there. If you click on inactive, there's a few options. Looks like you can do some sort of health checks, and you can add a little chat box or something on there, as well as bookmarks and a speed test. So I have not tried out any of those. I don't have a speed test server, otherwise I'd probably add that one. But that's it for your system settings. I think at this point we're ready to move on to the next step and add in some tabs. All right, let's add some tabs. All right, so here we are in the tab editor. We're going to hit the plus. Let's first add Plex. That's a pretty easy one to do. We're going to just put a tab name. We'll say Plex. Put in the URL to our Plex server. So for me, mine's 10.10.10.19:32400. That's the port number. And then for choose image, we should be able to search for Plex here. There it is. And then if we do a test tab, this will tell us if everything is correct. And then we can hit the plus in the bottom corner. It says add tab. Now at this point, it is added there. It's not active yet, so we want to hit the little toggle there to make the tab active. And then we also probably want to move it to the top. So I don't want it showing at the bottom of the page. I want to move it above all the other icons there. We'll save that. And the next thing you have to do is you have to refresh your browser. So not the little refresh icon up there in Organizr, but you actually have to refresh the browser itself. And when you do, as you can see now, I have a Plex icon in the corner. If I click on that, now I have Plex embedded inside of Organizr. So it's all there. If I hit the X on the top corner, it basically takes me back to where I was previously. So pretty cool. Let's try adding another one. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to do Unify. And so for this one, because it is a HTTPS page, it will probably not allow me to embed it inside of Organizr, but we'll see what happens. https://10.10.10.4:8443. That is the path to my Unify controller. For choose image, we're going to say Unify. There it is. And as you can see, when we do the test tab, it says, please set tab as new window on next screen. So everything's okay, but you have to change the location of how it will open up. So we'll say add tab here. And then there it is in the bottom there. We'll activate it first. And under type, we're going to change that to new window. So basically, instead of being embedded in Organizr, whenever we click on the link, it will open in a new tab in our browser. Let's go ahead and move it up underneath Plex because we don't want it at the bottom. And then let's refresh our browser. As you can see, now we have a Unify icon there. And if we click on it, it opens Unify in a whole new page. So no big deal. Obviously, you would just close out the tab and it would take you back to the previous tab or whatever. But not as cool as Plex, where it can be embedded within there as an iframe. You can't do that with Unify, unfortunately, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and add one more tab. So this one's going to be Ubiquity. So I did a video on Ubiquity not too long ago. It's kind of a comic book or book reader. I use it for comic books. You can use it for all kinds of books. But they don't have an icon here for Ubiquity. So I've downloaded an icon so that I can add one. We're going to hit the plus in the corner up here. Just basically drag it over so it's there. You can't really see it, but it is there. And if you look down there, there's the Ubiquity icon, so it did show up. So now, if we go to Tab Editor and we hit the plus, we'll call it Ubiquity. We'll put in the path. So mine's 10.10.10.4:2202/Ubiquity. And then now if we do a search, Ubiquity should show up. There it is. We'll test it. Everything tests good. We'll go ahead and save it. And kind of go through the same process. We got to make it active. We're going to move it up towards the top. We'll put it right underneath Plex. We'll save it. Of course, we got to refresh our browser again. And then as you can see, there's the icon right underneath Plex. If we click on that, and now we have Ubiquity inside an iframe on Organizr. So pretty cool. So that's 3 different ways you can set up the tabs. We basically just kind of did 3 different scenarios that you would probably normally run into when you're adding tabs into Organizr. But let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll add in some homepage items. All right, so we are ready to add in some homepage items. So this is a little bit different process. It's similar to the tabs, but a little bit different. So if we go over here under Tab Editor and click on Homepage Items, there's a few options here. So, I mean, you have to go off of the ones that are already listed here. You can't really create your own, but we're going to try Plex. That's kind of a somewhat easy one to install, and it'll at least give you an idea of what all it takes to set one of these up. So we'll click on Plex. You have to enable it. You can change the authentication as far as what level of authentication you'll need in order to be able to access it. I'm just going to kind of leave it the default. Now under connection for the URL, you're going to put in the URL of your server. So I did that earlier, but we'll just type it in again here. It's 10.10.10.19:32:400. I'm going to leave the cert toggles unchecked, but we need to add in our API key or token from Plex. So the easiest way to do that is just click on the Get Plex token. You'll put in your username and password. And if you have 2-factor authentication, you can put that info in there. You'll hit grab it, and it'll pull in the API key from the server. Next, you need to get the Plex machine. Now, I tried to get it using the button, and I could never get it to work. So the easiest way to do that is just to head over to Plex. So in a different tab, open up Plex. You're going to go under Settings and then go to General. And right there, you should see Friendly Name. That's what you want. Mine is just called Plex, all lowercase. So copy that, head back over to your Organizr tab here. Type in your friendly name, Plex machine name, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and save it. Stay in the settings, so I'll say no here. And then now we can go through and kind of enable the different homepage items that we want. So active streams, let's say enable. If it can give me user information, that's great. And I'm hitting save after each one of these. I don't know if it's required, probably not. Recent items, we'll go ahead and enable that one as well. Hit save. Media search, enable that one. Choose your media search server, which will be Plex. Save it. Playlists, I don't really have any, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Miscellaneous options, I'm not using a proxy server or anything, so I'm going to leave that alone as well. Now we can test connection, so we'll hit test connection here. API connection success, so I think we're good. Go ahead and save it. And And then if we go back over here to tabs, one thing we need to do, of course, is make our homepage active, because right now we aren't using the homepage at all. So just like we did with the other tabs, we'll have to make it active. We'll move it all the way to the top since it's our homepage. Go ahead and save those settings there, and then I even made it the default. I'm not sure exactly what that does for you, but I assume that that will be the default page that will come up whenever you first log into Organizr. Go ahead and refresh our browser. As you can see, we have the home button in the top corner. Click on that, and there's our recently added items from Plex. So it's pulled that in from Plex. It's sticking it right there. So that's kind of cool. Just kind of gives you a way to see various things on your homepage there without having to go all the way into Plex to take a look at that. So that's kind of neat. One other thing you can do is if you go back into the tab editor and go to homepage order, I don't know that we necessarily need to do that here, but as you can see, you can change the order of these, and there are 3 that are kind of highlighted there. Those are all the Plex ones. We can move those to the top if we wanted to. Or, I mean, if you had other ones on here besides Plex, you could put them in whatever order you wanted. So it just allows you to kind of change that order, save it. That's kind of a neat feature too. But that's it for the homepage items, at least give you an idea of how those work. Let's go ahead and move on to the last step, and we'll kind of go over my final thoughts. All right, so Organizr V2. I actually like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it overall, I like it better than Heimdall. This is my actual Organizr V2 that I've kind of set up. I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And I still haven't added a lot of stuff to it yet. As you can see, I have just added the Plex widget and my jacket widget. I'll definitely put some other homepage items in there. I just don't have them all there. But you can see all my different tabs on the side. I have quite a few added. Still have some more to add, but I feel like I'm kind of running out of room. So I'm kind of curious to see what will happen if I continue to add tabs and they fill up the page. But still pretty cool little setup. If you're looking for something like this, if we click on these, there's Home Assistant is kind of embedded in there. There's Plex. We looked at that one before. If we click on, let's see. There's Jacket. Guacamole is right there. Dazzle. So that's pretty nice little setup there. Great little homepage that you can use for all of your stuff around your house. If you don't currently have one and you don't just like using your regular tabs in your browser and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. As always, I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to my spring merchandise page and check out all of the Burns home automation merchandise. And if you're interested in VPN service, check out IPVanish. I'll have the link in the description below. You head over to their site and see what deals they currently have running. If you're interested in buying and selling cryptocurrency or stock, check out the link below for Robinhood. If you sign up with that link, you and I both will get a free share of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. And as always, if there are any videos out there that you'd like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.